Hi. Okay, the last video we did, we made the top of our shadow window box. And we are going to put the bottom together today. So I'm going to put the top aside. And it's basically the same, except that we don't have the hole cut out. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need your glue and scissors and bone folder. And sometimes I use this. It's a spatula. And then you'll need all of your pieces that we've cut out, plus some of these connectors. And our connectors are 1 inch wide, and they're scored in a 1/2 inch space. So when I cut them, if I have to cut fresh, usually I have enough leftovers from other projects that I don't have to cut. But if I have to cut, I'll just use an 8.5 piece of paper, and I'll cut on the long side, the 11th side, cut it, and cut it all inches across, so that you only have a 1/2 inch waste on the one side. And those work really well. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to put our longer sides off to the side here. And I'm going to try and find some smaller pieces like this that I can use up. Yep, this will work. And so I line it up flush with this, take it across and fold it, cut it. And we've done this with our top part, so this is fairly easy to do. I'm going to bring my junk drawer here so I can just throw them in there. And then this, I don't make it a complete triangle. If you remember, I leave a little bit at the folded edge straight. Okay, so I have one. I don't think this one's going to fit. Nope, so let's put that aside. This one might. So let's measure this one. Yeah, perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And then do my not perfect triangle. And again, there we have our two top ones. So let's go ahead and glue these on while we have them. And we know that as we're working with them, we don't actually need this yet, so I'm going to put that aside. As we're working with them, we do the inside of the fold, and we just do one side glue first. So I don't get it clear into the corner with my glue. And then I turn it, and I make sure that I get the edges pretty well lined up. This edge, these edges, and this edge. So I'm going to use my fingers to kind of push that first. Then I'll use my bone folder. And again, what this does, it gets the glue to kind of mish out a little bit. It spreads. So let's do the other one just kind of the same way. We're going to go ahead and then I will line all of these corners, the edges up. Corner there, and these edges, and then I will push them down, and then I'll burnish them. Okay, so those are our two edge corners. Let's go ahead and put those aside, and let's cut for the longer sides. And again, it's basically the same thing. You want to line it up here, and if you're careful, you can line it up across the edge, fold it, cut it. And this is a not perfect corner, not perfect triangle. And you can see it's not going into a point. So there's one. We need one more. And I am going to measure this. I will line it up as best at the top I can, fold it, cut it. Not perfect triangle on these because they're the outside. Okay, so we have two of these. So let's go ahead and glue these down. And it's the same thing. We're going to glue on the inside, the V, but we're going to glue one side at a time. And I try not to get it terribly close to the fold part. Okay, then we're going to line it up and get it as square as we possibly can. Go ahead and burnish it down really well. This just helps the glue to hold faster, hold better. And we're going to do the same thing on the second long one. We're not going to put it in our real close to our fold. Whew. And then we're going to attach it. Now the last time we went ahead and attached these to our box before we made the inside attachment pieces, connecting pieces, but you can make them before. So let's go ahead and make them before so you know you can do both things. I'm going to go ahead and cut again this side, cut it, and this becomes a perfect triangle. And the edge, the point, is at the fold, so make sure you're cutting the point at the fold. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that fits. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, there's one. Let's do this one. And then we can do our small ones. Then we can attach them to our box. Okay, we're going to measure it, fold it, cut it. Cut our triangles, and again the point is at the fold. And I'm going to check. Pretty good. Okay, so those two are done. Let's do these smaller ones now while we're at it. There's a small piece. Let's see, is that going to fit? Not quite. I think I'm going to have to make some for this one. Yeah, these are too small, but keep these. We can use them for the sides, the going up pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this, fold it, cut it, make my perfect V on this one, my perfect triangle. Okay, there's one. That was that one. Let's put that there. And let's see if this fits. It may fit. Oh, I think it's going to fit. Yay. Just a little piece to come off there. Ooh, that was nice. And make our V, our triangle, perfect triangle. And I'm going to check. Yep. Okay, so these are ready. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our short edges, because those are exactly the same width as our bottom. And in order to do that, we don't want to put glue in our corners. We want to, in the fold here, we do want to cover just about everything else as best we can. And again, this glue smishes out pretty well. So I don't cover every inch. I've seen some people who take paper or their fingers and try and get that. I don't do that. I don't worry about that. I know that this glue will smish. My word, smish. So the other thing that we want to make sure we do is we want to leave that little, we want to be able to have space in between the big piece and our edge. So, and I do have, what did I do with my, because I'm going to need it later. Well, I can't find it. Okay, we'll just do the best we can. I generally have a piece that is small enough. It's just a small piece, but I'm just going to use what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one. I'm not going to put it into my fold. Keep it away from the fold a little bit. We do put glue in there later when we get to put it together upright. And again, I'm going to put it as square as I can, but I'm also going to leave myself that little bit of space. Yeah, that kind of went too deep. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and burnish that down. Okay, I do have a big piece of chipboard I'm going to use for my last one. I want to make sure that it's okay. So we're going to go ahead and do the sides now. Remember, when we did our sides, we wanted, it is just a little bit bigger than our bottom, so we want the edge to be, you can see it's just a little bit past. It doesn't quite fold onto this, but it just covers the piece that we have, the little space that we have, because when we bring those up, this will come up and then this will go outside of that. It will get connected here. So remember, when you're gluing these in, that you want to make sure you leave that little bit of space on each end to allow for that to happen. And that's what makes your box so square. So I'm going to put this down. I'm going to, come on, put that there. Oh, just about perfect. And I want to make sure that this will run through there. Yeah, okay. And we've already done the top, so most of this is just a review of what we've done because it's the same skills, same skill set. Okay, we're going to do the last side. And again, I want just a little bit above the edge of each of these sides. I want my chipboard to sit in there. Oh yeah, just about perfect. I have a pretty good eye. Hey girls, I have something really great going for me. Yay! My husband and I did construction, and he we were teachers, but then after we retired, we did construction on a home, one of our homes, and he'd always say, "Girl, come see if it's square." Okay, it's square, but get the square out to make sure, the tool out to make sure, and sure enough, I'm pretty good at squaring things. Okay, so we did that. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to put on these little corner pieces. And you should have quite a few little scraps, way tiny little scraps, that should just about fit. Yep, this one will fit. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 1, mark 2. I'm going to cut those. And if you remember, one of these gets to be a perfect triangle and the other one is not a perfect triangle. So it looks like this. It's pointed at the top but flat on one of these sides. And I'm going to do the same thing here. One side's going to be pointy and the other one's going to be flat. Okay, so I'm going to put these ones on and then we'll cut the other two. I have quite a few little pieces that I've been throwing over to the side for us for later. So these go on the outside. You will want to make sure that you have the outside up. And we're only going to do one at a time. And we want the flat side to go up and the pointed side to go to the center. So I'm going to glue it on here. So I want, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is pretty square. Oh, that looks good. I'm going to hold one edge while I burnish the other so it doesn't shift. Sometimes they've been known, even after I push on them with my fingers, sometimes they've been known to shift. So this one, I want the point to go at my corner and the flat to go up top, so I know that it's the inside of this piece I want to glue. And oh, that's just a little bit long. So this is why one side is pointed, because now I can cut that off. It's not going to affect the stability. It's just, oh, and that's still just a little bit too long. Okay, I'm going to put it in there. And I'll show you what we do since that's just a little bit long. I'm going to get my fussy cut scissors because they cut just a little bit tighter for me, and I'm going to go ahead and cut across the top to make it even with that top. So see, you can make all kinds of mistakes and fix them. The one mistake that I have not been able to truly fix is when I get a piece of paper, I get it burnished down and I'm on to something else and I realize I did that wrong. I can't pull that up. It's already glued. It will rip your chipboard. So you try to catch your mistakes quickly before you get everything burnished down. Okay, so where are we? I'll leave those for later. Let's go ahead. We have two more we have to do. We have to do these sides, and there's one. And one of them's a triangle. And one of them's a flat, not perfect triangle. And you can see, I'm going to check this. Oh, that should be good. Okay, and then I'm going to have to get another piece because I don't have any more tiny, tiny pieces left. And again, triangle, not so perfect triangle. So there we go. Okay, and again, these get put on the outside, so I'm going to make sure I'm on the outside. I only do one side at a time, and I try to put the flat piece up. So I know that I want this side on the inside glued. I'm going to flip it. Oops. And I'm going to put it on there, push it with my fingers, hold it, burnish one edge, burnish the other. Now, sometimes you'll see you have a little ridge because you've glued this piece of paper. Sometimes I will take my bone folder and push into that ridge to make a good seal, and then I'll push into any other ridges because this is cut funny. And then I'll smooth the top down right here. That way you get rid of all the air pockets and you don't have an issue with it popping up. So this is not perfectly triangle. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put this one on here. So I know that this is the side on the inside that I want to glue. Oh, that worked out nicely. So again, I'm going to push into that little ridge, push into that ridge, and then I'm going to push the top down. It just makes sure you have a nice seal. Okay, so we have both of our edges on. So the next thing we want to do is we want to start putting up the tops this side. And we've already cut those. But before we do that, I'm going to cut the ones for the inside of here. So I'm going to measure, fold, and these both get made into triangles, into the fold corner, and I will show you. So they're both triangles, the one at the bottom, one at the top, because it's on the inside. And I'm going to do the other side. Okay, so we have two long ones, we have two short ones. The last thing we want to do before we start gluing this up, you can do it after you glue it up, it's just a little easier if you do it before. We also have to have pieces that go on the inside corners, so I'm going to cut those. There's one. This might work. Yep. There's two. And then I need for this side. There is three. And let's see, we have four. So those I'm just going to set aside for now, and then we will glue these into our inside. Now remember, we can do this two ways, but today what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this flat edge is laying on top of this. So you want to kind of pull it up and over as you glue it. So the first thing I do is I go ahead and I put glue on just one side of this. And then I try to get it as square as I can, lined up. And use your ruler, use whatever you have to make sure that it gets, there we go, that looks good. And then burnish it down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to glue one side of it, half of our connector, and leave the other side blank. And then I'm going to go ahead and try and get this as close to my edge as I can. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so we're going to lift one up. We're going to glue one up. So I'm going to start on this side since it's closest to me. I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the entire piece of my connector. And I'm also going to put just a little bit in that valley that we have. Now remember, we want to pull up and over and lay it on, glue it onto top of this. So there we go. And I'm going to burnish really well. Okay, we're going to do the other side pretty much the same way. Put glue on our connector. A little bit of glue in that valley. Lift up. Put it on top. And burnish it down. Oh, that's lovely. And we're going to do the same thing to these sides. I'm going to glue only one side. And the longer sides are just a little bit harder. You can push these to the outside out of your way so they're not in your eyesight. So you can get this just a little bit more square. Okay, that looks good. And then I'll burnish it. I'm going to do the other side. I just want to thank you girls for coming and visiting me while I do these videos because they are so much fun. I was a teacher, and so I've kind of missed working with students, helping them to become independent. And this makes me feel like I'm still almost teaching. I guess I am teaching in a way. So I appreciate all of you girls. Young, old, medium. It's fun. And I want you to know how much you mean to me. Okay, so I've kind of pushed these out of the way so that I can get this up. Now remember, this one is just a little bit longer. So what we want to do is we have an edge on this one. We want that edge to be glued to the inside as square as we can get it when we do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put glue on my connector. I'm going to put a little bit in my valley there. Remember, we're lifting it up and gluing it on top of our base. I'm going to burnish it down really well. And this trick works in here too. When you have any edge, if you just push against the opposing edge, it gets rid of all the air bubbles. Okay, so we have one done. So the other thing that I want to do before I go on to the other side is I'm going to go ahead and glue this. Now remember, we want the edge of this one, the small edge, to get lined up on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this and a little bit on that edge. I'm going to hold it so that it's pretty square. And I'm going to flip this over. Yep. And push it. So I'm pushing this way with this hand while I'm pushing this way with my other hand. It just supports it so that it doesn't flop over. Now you can lay it down then and burnish really well like this. And let's do the other side while we're thinking about it. Let's go ahead and put glue on that. A little bit of glue on that edge. Line it up. Push this over. and burnish. Did I get that? That didn't want to go very well. That might be a problem. We'll see. So I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I'm going to glue down my connector. Put a little glue in my valley. And we want to lift this up on top. Okay, and then we're going to do the sides again. We're going to glue a little bit of this, a little bit of the chipboard. I'm going to make sure that the longer piece is on top. And I'm going to hold it. And then I'm going to burnish it. Okay, and I'm going to do the same to this side. I will glue my little tab, glue my piece of chipboard, and I'm going to make sure that the longer one is on the outside. Push, 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 push. And I'm going to burnish. I hope that's going to work. Okay. Now I'm going to let my glue dry for just a minute before I make sure that these fit. I put my little needle in here. This glue dries out so fast. There we go. And I'm going to clean up just a little bit, and then I want to show you. I hope that this is going to fit perfectly as I can get it. So we don't have our flashing or our foxing, and we will do that next. But I do want to lay these. Yeah, you can see they are basically just about exact, and that's what we wanted. Okay, so tomorrow what we will do, or the next time we have a video, we're going to make this flashing, which this goes inside of your bottom so that when you put your top on, it doesn't fall off. It holds it in place like that. So I appreciate that you came to visit with me and create. It's kind of like having friends in my craft studio while we do this. So thank you. I will see you next time when we will go ahead and do our foxing. Bye-bye.